For number 3, all we have to do is combine like terms. Since it's all addition, at least between the parentheses, the sets of parentheses, we can just get rid of the sets of parentheses and write 3x squared minus 5 plus 7x squared minus 3, and then combine like terms. So there's these terms with the x squareds, we can put those together, and then there's the terms without an x, we can put those together. So let's first combine the terms with an x squared. So 3x squared plus 7x squared is 10x squared. Then the other terms, negative 5 and negative 3 together make negative 8. For number 10, we have to be a bit more careful because we have subtraction. So in the first set of parentheses, we can just write that down as normal. But for the second set of parentheses, we're subtracting it. So you can think of this as being a negative 1 outside the parentheses in front of it. So you want to distribute that negative 1 through the parentheses. In other words, you're going to flip the sign of each thing in the parentheses. So instead of a negative 7t squared, we'll have plus 7t squared. Instead of negative 5t, we'll have positive 5t. And instead of positive 8, we'll have negative 8, or minus 8. Then we can combine like terms. There's only one thing with a t cubed, so we can write that down. Nothing to combine that with. There are two things with t squared. So if we combine negative 11t squared with 7t squared, that's going to give us negative 4t squared. If we look at the t's, there's a 4t and a 5t. Together that makes 9t. And then the last one here, the constant, that's by itself. So we'll just write it down by itself. For number 17, we're going to need to use the distributive property. So 5x squared, we're just going to take that and multiply it by each thing inside the parentheses. So the first one, 6x, we multiply those together. 5 times 6 is 30. X squared times x is x cubed. It may help to think of that as x to the first. So add the exponents, 2 plus 1 is 3. Then we're going to multiply 5x squared by the second thing in the parentheses, which is 2. So we'll have 5x squared times 2, which is 10x squared. For number 20, we're going to do something very similar to what we did in the last one, except now we have to distribute the w and the 4 through the parentheses. So I'll start with distributing the w through the parentheses. So we'll take w times w squared. Again, it may help to think of that as w to the first. So add the exponents here. 1 plus 2 is 3, so that's w to the third. W times 6w is going to give 6w squared. And then w times negative 11 will be negative 11w. So now we've taken the w and distributed it through the second set of parentheses. So let's do the same thing with the 4. So 4 times w squared will give 4w squared. 4 times 6w will give 24w. And then 4 times negative 11 will be negative 44. Now we need to combine like terms. There's only one thing with an x cubed, that's w cubed, not x cubed. So w cubed, that just stays by itself. There's nothing to combine that with. There are two things with a w squared, so we can combine those together. 6w squared plus 4w squared is going to give 10w squared. There are two things with a w, or w to the first, so that's negative 11w and 24w. Combine those together, and you get 13w. And then the last one, the 44, or negative 44, nothing to combine that with, so we'll just write it at the end. For this error analysis, we're going to need to look carefully at the second set of parentheses. So the first set of parentheses, we can just copy everything down as is. So the x squared becomes x squared, negative 3x to negative 3x 4 to 4, that's all fine. The issue comes with this negative right here not being distributed through the parentheses. So we should have the negative x cubed, then negative 7x, and then positive 2. And then combine like terms from there. For 27, this is a very tempting mistake to make. It's a very common mistake that's made. But we have to be very careful about how we multiply binomials. Binomial is this type of thing, 2x minus 7. So it has two terms, bi means 2. It's a binomial. And when we multiply those together, we can't just put the exponent over anything in the parentheses. We have to be a bit more careful about how we multiply them. So if we have 2x minus 7 cubed, that's equal to 2x minus 7 times itself 3 times. And in order to take care of this, we're going to have to take 2 of these and FOIL. So what I like to do is put bars here to take the first 2, and then we'll FOIL those together. So it'd be first times first, outers, inners, and lasts. I won't complete this one because the next one is this type of multiplication. So I will save that for the next problem. All right, so just like I was saying, I like to take the first 2. You can take any 2. It doesn't matter what order you do them in. You can multiply things in any order and you should get the same answer. So I will take just the first 2 first. We'll FOIL this, and then we'll multiply that later by the x minus 5. So remember, FOIL first, outer, inner, and then last. This tells you how to multiply these 2 things. But basically, we're doing the distributive property. So we take this first x and distribute it through the second set of parentheses. That's first. So x times x gives you x squared. Then we take the x times the negative 6. So that's negative 6x. And you can see we've taken that x and distributed it through the second set of parentheses. So that's first and outers. Then we'll take the inners, the 4 times x, which gives us 4x. And then 4 times negative 6 gives negative 24. Combine the middle terms here, and we will get a trinomial, a polynomial with 3 terms. So that's going to give us x squared minus 2x minus 24. So we can take this polynomial that we just found with x squared and multiply that by x minus 5. And again, we're just going to be taking each thing in one set of parentheses and multiplying it by each thing in the other set of parentheses. So let's start with the x squared. Multiply x squared by x. That gives x cubed. X squared by negative 5 gives negative 5x squared. Then we've taken the x squared and multiplied it by both things in the second set of parentheses. So we'll just keep going. We'll do the middle one next. So negative 2x times x is negative 2x squared. Negative 2x times negative 5 is positive 10x. And now we've taken that middle term and multiplied it through the second set of parentheses. So all we need to do now is take that negative 24 and put it through the second set of parentheses. So negative 24 times x gives negative 24x. And negative 24 times negative 5 gives, let's see, that would be positive 120. And now we just need to combine like terms. So there is one thing with an x cubed. So we'll write that down. There are 2 things with a x squared. So we'll combine those together. Negative 5x squared minus 2x squared gives negative 7x squared. There are 2 things with an x. So that's the 10x and the negative 24x. Combine those together, we get negative 14x. And then the 120 at the end just stays there by itself.